Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. The Phantom Planet is a 1961 independently made American black and white science fiction film that was produced by Fred Gebhardt. The feature was directed by William Marshall, and it stars Dean Fredericks, Colleen Gray, Anthony Dexter, Francis X. Bushman, and Dolores Faith. It was released in the U.S. by American International Pictures as a double feature, with the other film being Assignment Outer Space. This is definitely not a blockbuster film, but it's one of those that you love to go see if you were a kid that grew up in the late 50s and early 60s. This would have been the way to spend a Saturday afternoon for sure. The storyline goes that it's 1980 and the United States Air Force's Space Exploration Wing has bases on the moon and are on the eve of a mission to Mars, when another of its two-member crewed Pegasus spacecrafts mysteriously disappears. Rumors immediately begin to circulate of all sorts of space monsters and phantom planets. Captain Frank Chapman and his navigator, Lieutenant Ray McConnon, are ordered to go investigate. While they're searching, their spaceship ends up suffering damage from a meteor shower, requiring that both men go outside to make repairs. While out there, a bullet-sized particle pierces the air hose of Chapman's spacesuit, rendering him unconscious. Is able to repair the hose, but as he opens the airlock hatch, he is fatally struck by a similar particle. McConnon's last act before being propelled into deep space is to push Chapman inside and close the airlock hatch. Chapman then comes to and finds McConnon gone and himself unable to communicate with the lunar base. He goes on to record log entries about the preceding events, noting that he now must make a forced landing on an asteroid that is somehow pulling his Pegasus spaceship. Exiting the ship, Chapman collapses and sees tiny humanoids about 6 inches tall approaching him. Once his helmet visor is opened, he can breathe, but he shrinks to their size due to the asteroid's atmosphere. Sezam, the aged, wise ruler of Rayton, explains to him that though his craft was brought down safely by their gravitational tractor beam, they had not been able to do the same with preceding Earth spaceships that came near. All of these were completely destroyed, along with the crews, when they crashed on Rayton's surface. He then informs Chapman that he can never leave, but he will have all the rights of a citizen of the place. Chapman meets two beautiful women, Sezam's smugly spoiled blonde daughter, Liera, and the gentle but mute black-haired Zetha. Liera is more willing to answer many of his questions about Rayton. Sezam tells Chapman that he later may marry one of the women once he has been accustomed to living there. Liera, after following and engaging constantly with Chapman, declares her love for him. But Chapman, still eager to return to his own people, quietly rejects her. At the same time, Heron, a young man who is in love with Liera, attempts to win her for himself by lying to the leader, telling him that Chapman is attempting to win over both women, stating that he believes this to be a crime against the people there, and Heron requests a duel to the death. Chapman agrees with him, and the two engage in a form of combat where opponents must push each other into gravitational plates that cause immediate disintegration when they're touched. Just as Chapman is about to push Heron into a plate, he lets Heron go, stating that he can't kill someone for no reason. As time goes on, Chapman and the mute Zetha become acquainted, and eventually fall in love. Any plans for the future are put on hold when Chapman discovers the reason for Rayton's erratic course. It's because the planetoid is being attacked by the solarites. They want to destroy Rayton so that they can steal its secret gravitational control. During the battle, a giant 7-foot-tall solarite prisoner captured during the previous raid escapes when the gravity barrier holding him fails. The creature captures Zetha, who had previously been traumatized into silence by a childhood encounter with the savage species. And Chapman defeats the solarite by pushing it into a gravitational plate. While kidnapped, Zetha's muteness vanishes. The return of her voice allows her to later confess her love for him, and the two end up kissing, but Zetha knows that he must return to his home world. The director of the project, William Marshall, was a former actor and band leader, and he had previously made 2 films with Errol Flynn, that being Hello, God and Adventures of Captain Fabian. The movie's interior spaceship sets, spacesuit helmets, and oxygen packs, and some special effects originally appeared in the Ziv Company's science fiction television series Men in Space, which was broadcast in 1959 on CBS television. It's also been theorized that the interior lunar base sets, metal structural supports, closely resemble the sets of the internally supported structure of the observation nose of the submarine Seaview in Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. Now there's 2 beautiful female leads in the film. One of them is Colleen Gray. She plays Liera. But the beautiful mute girl named Zetha is played by Dolores Faith. She was born Dolores Faith Hedges, July 15, 1941. Her career ran from 1961 to 1972, with various television appearances like Ripcord, Have Gun Will Travel, and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Her career came to an end when she married millionaire James Robert Neal. Now, the weird thing about the story about her is that most sources show that she died on February 15, 1990, at the age of 48. But in a book that was published about glamour girls of the 60s, the author of that book claimed that she was still alive and living in Florida as of 2006. But I read later on that some of her family members commented on this, stating that that just wasn't true, that she had died by suicide in 1990. Go back and take a look at this film. It's a really corny one, but it's still fun to watch. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.